Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Most historians believe that outlaws Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were killed in 1908. But this year, their turkey counterparts have just been assured a full life in a nice little sanctuary. Governor Jared Polis pardoned the poultry perps yesterday as part of Colorado's third annual turkey pardon. In it, he saved the birds, named after the outlaws, from being part of Thanksgiving dinner and encouraged Coloradans to reflect on what they're grateful for and find ways to give back to our community. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. Gobble, gobble. Coming up, a plan is being voted on that could end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. We break down what's in it and what's not.
Can't see the future, so I don't really want to gamble not having health insurance, but we'll have to make it work.
Then, for Veterans Day, a special story about a 100-year-old survivor of one of the most famous battles in World War II.
As tough as it was, you couldn't back off. Marines don't do that.
It's Tuesday, November 11th. Here's the news in Colorado today. There's finally a plan in motion to end the federal government shutdown. It's not final yet, but food aid and flight cancellations should get back to normal. CPR's Washington, D.C. correspondent Caitlin Kim is here with what else you need to know about the deal and how your Colorado representatives are voting on it. Caitlin, the Senate has taken some votes to move this plan forward, but it does not include extending the expanded healthcare tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, or ACA, marketplaces, which is what the Democrats were gunning for. But what does it include that we'll notice here in Colorado?
So, Arlo, the deal would lead to reopening the federal government. So if you've been waiting for SNAP payments, those will go out. Head Start money, those will go out. Low-income heating money, all going out, which were all in doubt in November. Federal workers will be back on the job, so if farmers need technical help from the Natural Resources Conservation Service, they're working. National Park Service workers back on the job. And of course, federal workers and the air traffic controllers will be getting paid.
Senators John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennet voted no on this deal. I'm curious how they justified that, especially considering that this means they essentially voted on continuing the government shutdown.
Because, Arlo, the main reason for the shutdown, to get a fix for an expiring tax credit that helps people buy health insurance on Connect for Health Colorado, that's the state exchange, did not get addressed. But 8 Senate Democrats from other states broke with the rest of the party for this procedural vote, and in exchange, they got a promise of a vote on extending an enhanced ACA tax credit in the Senate by the second week of December. Now, the credit expires at the end of the year, and even if there's a vote in the Senate, there may not be one in the House. So the idea of extending these expanded tax credits could very well still die on the vine.
So what does this plan mean for the people who do rely on the expanded federal support to buy healthcare on Connect for Health Colorado?
Well, most likely it means the rates will, in fact, be much higher than they currently pay. A couple of people I spoke with are looking at a doubling or a tripling of their current costs because the credit is gone, and they're considering doing without health insurance altogether. Now, that's not something Mercedes von Pinsel can do.
Can't see the future, so I don't really want to gamble not having health insurance, but we'll have to make it work.
She and her husband have a small music business in Commerce City.
It's a lifeline to just have insurance, especially with me having asthma, and that medication can be extremely expensive.
On top of that, her newborn daughter spent 7 weeks in the NICU when she was born. That'll require long-term care. And now the premium, which was just over $200 a month, will be just under $540 a month for the family of 4. Now, she didn't like seeing federal workers not getting paid, but she hates the deal. She thinks a Senate vote on an extension is an empty promise, and she said she's angry that Democrats caved and asked, what was the point of the shutdown if they're not going to extend the credit?
I want to dive deeper into something you said, how this could get voted on in Congress still. The Senate promised to vote on extending the tax credits to buy health insurance. The House may vote. So what are you hearing from Colorado's House members? Will they vote on extending the extra federal support to buy health insurance?
Well, if it got to that point, Arlo, Colorado's House Democrats would vote to extend the tax credits pretty quickly. Look, it's going to be a tough vote for House Republicans, who are currently in the majority, and Republicans in general, who have never supported the Affordable Care Act. Of the Colorado Republicans, only Jeff Hurd, whose district has seen some of the highest increases, has said he wants to see an extension of the tax credit, with some reforms, until they can address the larger issues of healthcare costs. I'll add, though, if nothing gets done and people do lose their insurance, it's likely to be an issue in next year's midterm election.
CPR's Caitlin Kim. Thank you.
You're welcome, Arlo.
You've probably seen this famous photo, 6 Marines standing on a pile of rubble as they work together propping up an American flag. It was actually taken in 1945 in the summit of a dormant volcano on the island of Iwo Jima. Jim Blaine was there that day.
When they raised that flag, we didn't know it was going to become as famous as it was, but I understand why it did.
This image would become one of the most iconic photographs in U.S. military history. It's a memory of a bloody battle that helped win World War II. It was just 5 days into the 36-day battle, but it was a milestone. The Marines had captured the tallest point on Iwo Jima. Blaine remembers that moment as emotional.
Some of the guys went into tears, and I got choked up over it myself.
It took Blaine 50 years to begin to talk about his time in combat. He saw such awful things, and so many of his fellow Marines and friends didn't make it home. But now he's 100 years old, and the veteran says that when it comes to the war and Iwo Jima, he's at last ready to open up. So he did that recently with CPR's Bente Birkeland, who brings you this special story for Veterans Day.
We watch the central control vessel. When this flag drops, our landing craft will head for the beach.
In the final year of World War II, Iwo Jima became a crucial location. The Marines who landed there had to fight through a bleak landscape.
At Iwo, it's nothing but volcanic ash. There's no dirt or anything there, what we call dirt.
Jim Blaine first stepped foot on the island 80 years ago.
Iwo Jima was a critical island because you had to kind of pick out a place where they could build an airfield and make more steps toward Japan.
The archival sound you'll be hearing is from the actual battle on Iwo Jima, pulled from a U.S. Navy documentary.
The Marine Corps was chosen to finish that war. And we did what we were told to do. And we went ahead and finished it up the island.
By the time of Iwo Jima, Blaine was 20 years old. When the U.S. joined the war, he was still in high school. Blaine didn't want to just wait to be drafted. So not long after his 18th birthday, he and 2 friends hitchhiked to Chicago to enlist in the Marines.
I volunteered to go into the part of the Marine Corps which was some action. There are times when I regretted it.
He was sent to the Pacific, the Marshall Islands, then Saipan and Tinian on the Marianas, and then his final assignment that left the biggest mark on his life, Iwo Jima.
Our tanks come ashore and grind inland.
It was a strategic guard post for Japan in its fight against the Allies. 20,000 Japanese soldiers died trying to hold the island.
I did what I had to do, is to try to kill more Japanese people. And my buddies and I did it, whether we liked it or not.
Blaine recounts a night he was on guard duty to protect American supplies. Some Japanese soldiers sneaked out of the jungle to try to break in.
Because they ran out of everything, too. They only brought enough food and water for a 3-day attack.
That night, Blaine says he killed 3 Japanese soldiers. He also took fire. One bullet grazed the top of his helmet.
The second bullet, when I stood up, went through my foot, right on through. I'd never seen a doctor until we had finished taking Iwo Jima.
The bullet went through, but it wasn't in your foot anymore. It just went straight through.
Went straight through my shoe.
Blaine is telling this story in the living room of his apartment in Denver, all these years later. He leans forward in his recliner chair and takes off his shoe and sock to show where the bullet hit.
Between the bones, it's a soft part of your foot.
Sitting with us in the living room is Blaine's son, Phil. He's heard the story many times now and says it still amazes him that his father stayed in the field after the injury.
Marines are tough, right? It's a toughness thing. You know, you just keep walking, right? So, yeah, I couldn't believe you survived or kept moving after having a bullet through your foot.
As tough as it was, you couldn't back off. Marines don't do that.
Blaine was later awarded a Purple Heart. But back on Iwo Jima, he got a new assignment, body detail.
I had to go up and drag bodies out of the volcanic ash. So I'd climb up the ash, go get 2 more bodies, drag them down to where the medical people were. And because I didn't like doing that doggone duty.
Blaine has his military medals displayed inside an oval frame hanging on the wall. Also hanging nearby is that famous picture of Marines raising the flag on the island. Although the Marines had captured Mount Suribachi, there was still much of the island left to take. 3 of the 6 men in the picture did not survive Iwo Jima. After the war ended, Blaine tried to forget everything he experienced. His son Phil says, growing up, his dad never talked about the war. He and his older sister Jamie knew not to bring it up. Blaine acknowledges now that he was dealing with PTSD.
A lot of times I would choke up. I couldn't do it, and I didn't want to act like an idiot. So I avoided it.
For Blaine, opening up happened after he got involved with the nonprofit The Greatest Generations Foundation. He said being around other veterans helped him talk about it with his children.
He told me some of the things that cause that PTSD and some real, oh my God kind of stuff. You know, when someone has PTSD, it may be from a car wreck or some horrible thing, a shooting or something. It's a one-time thing that happens. But he saw like 30 or 40 of these shocking kind of things that stick with you forever.
Over the years, Blaine kept in touch with a lot of Marines he served with. But each year, there are fewer and fewer.
Well, most of them are gone, but who's still living?
His son Phil can't think of anyone.
Remember Arthur Godfrey?
Yes.
He was one in your foxhole. You were friends with him for years. And Don Whipple, he was 99, he just died.
Eventually, there won't be anyone left to tell firsthand what happened on Iwo Jima. Instead, it'll just be preserved in places like museums and history books. At the end of our interview, I thanked Blaine for his service. But he was quick to correct me.
Supposed to say, thank you for my freedom. Say that.
Thank you for my freedom.
There it is.
That's CPR's Bente Birkeland in Denver with Marine veteran Jim Blaine. You can see his story in photographs at CPR.org. There's also a link to it in our show notes. Additional thanks to Stephanie Wolf and Shane Rumsey for their production work on that special story. Thank you for listening to today's show, and on this Veterans Day, I'm wishing you and yours a moment of reflection and gratitude. We are grateful that you spent part of it with us at Colorado Today. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, helping you prepare for Thanksgiving with fresh produce, quality meats, and all the ingredients for your favorite holiday dishes. Learn more at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.